Hello! Welcome to All A+ Essays, the best among the best. My name is Julie and I will be your instructor as we read through selective attention at the workplace. The article source is embedded in the video description below. Feel free to read along. Please note that you can get a custom, plagiarism-free essay for as little as $10 a page at All A+ Essays. The link is in the description. To people, events and objects that we meet in our daily lives are roughly unwavering, complex and comprehensive. Any given incentive is possible to possess numerous ascribes, and our appraisal of the stimulus may be contingent on which characteristics we focus on in our decision-making. What we hear, see, feel and remember vary not only on the in-sequence entering our senses, but also in the lead which facet of this we prefer to focus. William James, 1890-1950. Emphasized this, alleged that my experience is what I agree to attend to. His explanation was, as we must all have been in circumstance where we botched to notice something in daily life because our mind was engaged along with something else. C. Neil McRae et al., 1995, emphasized in the Journal of Selection in-person perception as any given stimulus is likely to possess multiple attributes, and our evaluation of the stimulus may depend on which of these attributes we focus on in our decision-making. The main essentials in this sensitivity process are illustrated in Figure 1 according to a psychological viewpoint. The bottom-up stage involved the way in which we handle the raw data obtained by our sensory systems. Needs for selectivity is one of the key characteristics of bottom-up processing anxiety. We merely not able to concentrate all sensory data in order available to us at any given time, therefore bottom-up processing sorted out in less pertinent information so that we can have on what is significant. The top-down stage, in distinction apprehension, the mental procession that can send to us interpret, to order, and make sense of deficient sensory in sequence. The missing word, comma, or mistaken spelled phrase does not normally decode with the grasp of the human reader. However, selective attention is a generic phrase for those apparatuses which escort our experience to be conquered by one thing rather than another. There is currently an insight and real difficulty among behavioral organization and managerial activities facing increasing amount of disjointed, overwhelmed with recurrent interruptions, concurrent action, and various inputs from their perception and selectivity in workplace. Nevertheless, it is aimed this report to identify the main selective attention issues involved in workplace and solution of errors. How can a manager thwart some of these issues are arising? Definition of selective attention. David Buchanan, 2004, defined selective attention as it is the ability, often exercised unconsciously, to choose from the stream of sensory data, to concentrate on particular elements and to ignore others. Young-Xiaotong et al., 2007, described selective attention as it is refers to the process by which organisms focus on task-relevant information, targets, and attempts to ignore irrelevant information, distractors. Schultz-Hart, Fisher and Frey, 2007, propose that information search is determined by subject quality. His explanation was decision-makers cannot assess information superiority from their own point of view in the preceding decision-relevant knowledge, coherence information obtained as subject superiority advantages, and therefore is methodically preferred to selectivity. However, question can be asked: lost decision edges induce more conflict or negatively expressed decision alternatives may persuade further through evaluation in order to avoid disappointment in decision-making? The actuality that we are able makes use of partial and vague information by filling the space from our individual knowledge and past experience. Dawson, Gilovich and Regan, 2002, argue that individuals with disbelieving mindset are less prone to display a confirmation prejudice in context of task. How often do we suppose that people are like just because they reside work in the equal similar section in the organization, or same neighborhood, or just because they same costume, or similar ethnic origin? Consequently, this can reason the increase of phony rumors in organizations due to selective attention issues involved in workplace. Selective attention issues at workplace. The correctness of interpersonal judgment and perception made concerning other people are manipulated by the character of the relationship between the distinguisher and the other person, the vast of information obtainable to the perceiver and the regulated in which information is established, and the extent and nature of interface between the two people. There are some main features that can create meticulous difficulties and individual perceptual problem, prejudice or distortion in our transactions with other people at workplace perspective. These are, halo effect. The term halo effect was first used by psychologist Thorndike, 1920, described as it is the process by which the perception of a person is devised on the starting point of a single favorable, positive, or negative, or unfavorable characteristics or impression. Abelson et al. 1968, addressed Journal of Theories of Cognitive Consistency. As halo effect may be subconscious in origin and may simply reflect the subject's tendency to maintain cognitive consistency. However, halo effect is the making judgment against a person's physical appearance, social setting, posture, and nonverbal behavior with first meeting no count second chance to make a first thought. It can be effect in the workplace as, for instance, a new portion of worker who execute well in an initial foremost task and the superior or manager supposed as expected to person for promotion, despite the fact that the task is not distinctive of the standard duties the member of staff is anticipated to undertake. A solitary characteristic, for example a member of staff good attendance and time maintenance, may perhaps become the most important highlighting for judgment of taken as whole performance and competence rather than other considerations such as the quality, quantity, and truthfulness of work. In the other hand, we can judge in reverse way as a proof that halo effect is an error at the selective stage. For instance, a candidate arrived late for interview. That does not mean that the candidate is a first looking very good appearance leads to get this job. The person might be poor timekeeper and unreliable. Another example we address may be a new staff that performs poorly in a first major task. This may have cause of curious set of situation and not distinctive behavior. However, particular hazard with the halo effect is that where rapid decisions made only eagerly available stimuli, a manger may become observational blind to subsequent stimuli at inconsistency with the origin insight and perceive only that individuality that sustained the original judgment at workplace. Stereotyping. This is a propensity to assign negative or positive characteristics to a person on the beginning with a general grouping and distinguish similarities. In the Journal of a Dual Process Model of Impression Formation, Brewer, 1988, emphasized stereotype as we believe that when perceivers encounter a target, they identify several competing superordinate categories to which he or she belongs. The perception of that person may be based further on definite expected individuality than on the gratitude of that person as a being. Fisk and Newberg, 1990, describe as people are perhaps the most complex stimuli we encounter, in part because they simultaneously belong to multiple social categories, for example, age, group, ethnicity, sex. Listed any one of these contending categorizations can approach to dominate our appraisals of others. However, stereotyping is a signifying of simplifying the progression of perception, creating sense of the world and assembling judgments of other people as a substitute of dealing with a variety of multifaceted and substitute stimuli. It takes place when an individual has critics on the base of the unit to which it is recognized that person belongs. Basically, we can identify as when we see all members belonging to a specific group as having the identical distinctiveness, we can symbolize a stereotyping individual. A most important risk of stereotyping is that it can chunk out accurate perception of the entity or individual circumstances in workplace. It can lead to impending situations of narrow-mindedness discrimination at workplace daily activity. For example, a large figure of employees still seems to uphold negative and inexact stereotypes about the qualification, aptitude, competency and training of older workers. But some organizations, such as B&Q, have strategy recruitment certain stores with candidate over 50 years of old. Example of general stereotyping may be established at workplace as O nationality, for instance in workplace individualized as all Chinese are hard worker than other nationality. O occupation, for example all accountants are uninteresting. All personnel are solemn and undemonstrative. O age, all young, fresh workers strong and unreliable brainstorming, no old workers want to think new ideas. O physical, in workplace all people with brown hair have a burning temperament, and all fat workers are lazy. O education, for instance all new hired fresh graduates are smart in workplace. O social, stereotype threat would be most possible to be experienced by African Americans in those jobs for which aptitude is whispered to be a significant determinant. Politics, for instance, all labor voters support soft HRM, human resource management, candidate, all official voters support hard HRM. Even if stereotyping concentrates the amount of in sequence that we require to know and therefore facilitate us to manage with enormous information flow, the penalty of erroneous aspect that workplace characteristics is tremendously would be unenthusiastic. Cantor, 1977, argued that the presence of tokens highlights group difference, resulting in tokens being viewed by others in terms of their identity group membership. However, stereotype threat at workplace would be most likely to be knowledge, experienced, and categorize African Americans in those jobs for which intelligence is supposed to be an important determinant, for example major, engineer and financial analysis are jobs where scholar ability is seen to be necessary. Perceptual defense. Perceptual defense is the propensity to shun or screen out certain incentives that are perceptually distressing or intimidating. People may be inclined to choose information that is compassionate at their point of view and select not to knowledge obstinate information. For example, a manager who has determined lately to promote a staff alongside the advice of colleagues may choose only complimentary or favorable in sequence which sustains that ignore less and decision favorable information which queries that determinations. Ardelier, Matthew, H. 1974, argued in Journal of Perceptual Defense and Vigilance as it is an analysis, homunculus, including reasonable paradox, frequency, a range of response partiality position, and expectancy set, are theoretically flowed or observation and experimental incomplete. However, perceptual defense selectivity is a perceptual attention on regard multiprocessor compound of phenomena under vital regulative control error in workplace. Projection, Laurie, J. Mullins, 2007, describe projection as attributing, or projection one's own feelings, or characteristics to other people as a further distortion which can occur in the perception of the other people. However, opinion of other people could be more constructive when they have traits principally in common with, perceiver and simply familiar by. Projection may as well consequence in people overstating objectionable characteristics in others that they might be unsuccessful to distinguish with themselves. Selective projection issue can be danger in workplace. For example, a manager who anxious about probable dismissal may perceive rest-off managers to be even more worried. Another instance, a manager who think all subordinates as disingenuous may be projecting one of the manager's own quality. Conversely, projection perception is own and how people observe and think of themselves, and appraise themselves at workplace. Self-fulfilling prophecy, Brophy, 1983, and Jones, 1977, define the term self-fulfilling prophecy designation a situation where a person's expectation of a particular event causes the actual occurrence of this event. However, self-fulfilling prophecy is a people's belief or philosophy or expectations manipulate their behavior and actions in such a way as to contrast the expectation and beliefs more likely to come true. Unintentional in terms of the causal next of kin between the first expectation and the final effect, he/she not have been explained as uninvolved, because of the anticipation held, the anticipator engages in a specific behavior, and eventually leading to the authentication of the expectation. A prospect of managers has an influential persuade on the behavior on the performance and behavior of staff in workplace. For example, if a manager require only negligible performance from workers, they are not apt to perform the most excellent of their aptitudes. Discrimination of workplace bullying. A major issue facing workplaces worldwide is the happening of bullying, discrimination and sexual harassment behavior between employees. Nevertheless, workplace bullying is offending, harassing, social excluding someone or unhelpful affecting someone's work assessment, frequently, regularly, and over episode of time. Stirring is an escalating procedure in the course of which the person tackled ends up in a poorer position and turn out to be the target of methodical negative social act. WorkSafe Victoria, 2006, comments workplace bullying as repeated unreasonable behavior directed toward an employee or group of employees that creates a risk to health and safety. However, targets of workplace bullies may harm or undergo and affect a wide range of psychological and physical symptoms, including anxiety and stress about work, depression, fearfulness, loss of confidence, inferior job satisfaction, and diminished organizational commitment. Solution of avoiding address selective issues. Today's workforce is self-possessed of a broad mixture of peoples of dissimilar races, ages, nationality, religions, and classes. Projections of prospect trends direct to an even further expanded workforce a variety of patterns of thinking, believing, and behaving. This prototype manipulates how members of diverse workgroup envisage and perform their jobs, and handle selective issues, halo effect, stereotype, projection, self-fulfilling prophecy, perceptual defense and discrimination of workplace bullying, arise at workplace. However, to prevent selective issues a manager can go alone with following solutions. Halo effect. Holbrook, 1981, proposed structural model of halo effect which consists specifically, given tentative manipulations of features and calculates assess the degree of perceptual distortion due to effective feedback. This model suggests that halo effect arise in workplace perceptions due to procedure and perceptual partiality, improper feedback and no significant pessimistic halo coefficients for complexity and activity at workplace. However, in the workplace environment a manager can prevent halo effect errors with coefficient feedback, avoid complexity, motion, and potency which are contradictory in indication from their overconfidence instant following compliment. Self-fulfilling prophecy. If a manager require only negligible performance from workers, they are not apt to perform the most excellent of their aptitudes. Therefore, managers necessitate establishing an organizational scaffold and supportive culture that strengthen optimistic performance expectations at all stages of the organization. Subordinates should also be given confidence and encouraged to have excessive and high self-expectation of performance because of working in particular direction and common goal. Stereotyping. Elaine Carter, et al., 1982, comments as the propensity to stereotype is woven into our societal fabric. We have innate legacy of putting others behind because of their group individuality, be it a particular gender, race, age, social class, nationality, religion, or whatever. A manager needs to recognize organizational cultural circumstances and its impact on how people relate to one another and how they work. Manager needs to examine their own perceptions and innate organizational values as well as scrutinize and expectations of associate or coworkers. He/she must become more and more comfortable in seeking and look at new behaviors, letting the disagreements, nervousness and differences become unambiguous, then analyzing these by the efficiency goals rather than by individual perceptions, and not compliant stereotypes uncritically. Furthermore, survey can be given to supervisors, subordinates, co-workers to evaluate how their managers come across when dealing with workplace members who are different. Elaine Carter, et al., 1982, comment as socially inherited values do not stop at the company's door, and stereotyping can damage the work climate by fostering interpersonal conflicts and reducing commitment of the company's goal. However, a manager should identify the problems stalking from social tempted stereotyping and analyze impact on people's capability to work. Other issues, projection, perceptual defense and discrimination. Workplace bullying can be avoided the manager at workplace with following clues: collecting sufficient information about other people and basing the considered opinion on information that is relevant and significant. Not to see what a manager expect to see and what a manager want to see should investigate further. Not allowing initial information about someone to influence our judgment, but later and consistent information. Develop self-awareness and considering of how own personal partialities and preferences influence own perceptions and decisions of other people. Need to check a manager's own attributions, the suppositions they make about the causes of particularly and behavior, link they make relating personality and aspect, behavior in one hand and appearance on the other hand. A manager should ensure that they do everything within their process to effective thwart decimation of workplace bullying occurrence and assist workforce who have been bullied. However, the expansion of self-knowledge can be an uncomfortable practice. In organizational situations, very often restrained in the expression of managers' emotions, positive or negative, about others. Cause of cultural or social norms, and also communication obstacles erected by category, importance, position and power difference. This may be able to be overcome during a training course in organization based on interpersonal skills, personal growth, and self-awareness designed. Training in interpersonal expertise communication skills characteristically emphasizes openness and truthfulness in relationships, and energetic listening skills, compassion to nonverbal behavior, non-evaluative feedback and effort like key tools for avoiding selective attention errors. Please be aware that the free essay that you were just reading was not written by us. This essay, and all of the others available to view on the website, were provided to us by students in exchange for services that we offer. This relationship helps our students to get an even better deal while also contributing to the biggest free essay resource in the UK. Thank you for taking your time to listen to me. I hope you enjoyed learning about selective attention at the workplace as much as I did. Kindly remember that you can get a custom, plagiarism-free essay at all A+ essays for as little as $10. The link is in the description. See you next time.